again, so don't leave. Okay. Last part, and I'll shut up, is my friend Shawn Sheibani. Where are you, Shawn? Shawn has become a real close friend of mine. He's going to share with us today. I am so fortunate to know him. When I first met Shawn, it was on the soccer field, and he was coaching the other team. And I thought, look at this psychotic freak. He is just like barking, speaking with this crazy accent, barking commands at these poor little girls, and I would never want my kid to play for him. Honest truth. And so he doesn't probably know all this part, He knows the psychotic freak part. But anyway, so then Michelle, by luck of the draw, ends up on his team, and I gained a real good respect and appreciation for how much he, is admired and loved by his, by these girls that he coaches. And he's just an amazing person. He has this huge network of people that he interacts with in a couple of different cultures. And he and his wife are tremendous networkers. They know a lot of people. He's a friend to everyone. Small business owner, father, husband, all these things. But anyway, I'm going to let him take the mic. You'll see that, Shawn's got a little sparkle in his eye. He's just a great person to know. So thank you, Shawn.
Thank you so much. My name is Shawn Sheibani, and my voice sounds different today than every other day. I got sick a couple of days ago, and I don't remember the last time I got sick, so all I prayed was for, God, don't take my voice away. You can give me 105 fever, but keep me my voice. I need my voice today. First, I want to thank everyone for being here. I know it's a Saturday. You could be spending time with your family and running errands and doing your thing, and you're here. I really appreciate it. Want to let you know that there's a reason why you're here. There is a reason why you're sitting where you are, and there is a reason why I'm here. It's all His work, and this is His doing. So if you guys don't mind, I'm going to say a prayer. Dear Father, thank you so much. Thank you so much for this day. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to stand here and talk for you and speak about my experience and my journey with you to these wonderful men that are sitting here that are thirsty for your knowledge and information. In your name, amen. So I have prepared all these pages, but I really don't think I'm even going to glance at them. It's very easy to speak. It's very easy to share a personal experience. So I'm just going to go right at it. So the title of my testimony is Around the World and Saved by Jesus. Why around the world? Well, I was about 10 that my father took us to England for work. We stayed there for a year. We came back to Iran, and I'm from Iran, by the way. I was born in Iran and lived there for 13 years. At the age of 13, a war broke out between Iran and Iraq, and very serious. Everybody knows about it. And at that time, when I was 13, all the kids that were my age, all the boys my age, they only had a certain time to leave the country. And if you were not, then you would have to get on the bus and go to the front line. So going to school, we had the Army guards come to our school and train the kids on the automatic rifles and tell them that you get trained on the rifle, you will be able to go to front line and go to war, and you get God's key to heaven without needing any parental consent. We got trained on the rifles, and you give a rifle to a 13-year-old, he thinks he's Captain Iran. So me and friends of ours, middle of the night, we decided that we were going to pack, and we are going to get together and go to the base and go to war. And call it grace of God. My father happened to be up at 3:30 in the morning. Son, where are you going? I have a bag in my hand. I'm going to war. So he, thank God, he intercepted, and I ended up not going to war. He freaked out, and having only 1 month to leave the country, he was able to obtain visa for me to go to India. At that time, Iranians could not get visa easily to go to different countries. So he happened to know the ambassador of India and was able to get the visa. So literally overnight, we flew to India. Going to India, he took me to a city called Pune, and there was a family that I could stay with for a short period of time, and he dropped me off, and he went back home, and this was the last time I saw my country. I was at the age of 13, so the choice was going to war or going to another war. My parents chose the other war. At that age, I didn't speak any Hindi, or I barely spoke English. So it was interesting staying with the family for a period of a couple of months. My father had found a dormitory in a close by town called Panjgani, and I'm going to a dorm school. In India, at that time, Iranians were not well liked. As a matter of fact, the opposite. And not speaking English, you're completely an outsider. When I got there the first night, I had most of my belongings taken out of my suitcase. So I woke up the next day finding few items left in my trunk, and I said, welcome to India. We had a housemaster, and he was from Afghanistan. He happened to have a Persian fiance that had left him. And he goes, so you're from Iran? I said, yes, I am. Now, he was a Taekwondo master, black belt, and I was a Kung Fu student back at home. Taekwondo, Kung Fu, they don't mesh well. They don't like each other. They all think they are the better ones. So, and of course, I had my Kung Fu uniforms, very proud. I wear it. And he welcomed me to his morning practices. Every practice would get beaten up by him and his students, and which built character at the time, I guess. At that time, I stayed in that school for a period of 2 years in India, and I had had enough. A lot of things happened in that school, a lot of problems, a lot of hate, and I decided that enough's enough. So I ran away from the school. The town, Panjgani, is on top of a mountain hill, so I rented a bicycle, and I rode for 8 hours to get to Pune. It was all downhill, so it was good. I got to Pune and went to the family that I had originally met. I stayed with them for a little, and I had learned at that time that there is a good way of making money in India. So you gotta think back. During the war, no funds could be exchanged from country to country. Everything was frozen. So my parents could not send me any money, so I am whatever I am. Borrowed a few rupees from a friend of mine, went to the airport, and Iranians that would come to India, they would bring pistachios with them. And pistachios are a hot commodity in India, or they were. And I had learned that you can buy pistachios for cheap and take them to market and sell them. So I did that. And the first time I went to the airport, Iranians came, and I'm jumping in and buying their pistachios and took them to the market, and I made money. It was fantastic. Hey, this is the way you make money here. But then at times that I couldn't make money, there was no money. So I lived in India for 4 years, from 13 to the age of 17. When I didn't make money, when there was no money, it's very difficult to put emotions into words of how things went. Away from home, away from parents, with no money, and your own destiny, you write it yourself. So you better grow up really, really fast, or you're not going to make it. It happened to work. 4th year, my mom and my brother, things had eased up, and they came to India. They came to India, and we had to do something. We couldn't stay in India. We couldn't go back to Iran. So we decided to go to Canada. Why Canada? Because they were the friendliest to Iranians, and they had very relaxed immigration rules at that time. But we couldn't get visa to go from India to Canada. So we had to smuggle ourselves from India to Canada. My mom doesn't speak a word of English. I speak English with Indian accent. That's how I learned Hindi and English together. So I'm speaking English with Hindi accent, and I have an 8-year-old brother at the time. So thinking this and deciding on this, we found a group of people that did this. They specialized in this. So it's after talking to them, they called me and said, "Hey, we found you an Australian passport. There is a mother and 2 kids in it. Perfect for you guys." And I'm thinking, all right, Iranian, dark hair, black eyes, how am I going to fit into Australian? So they said, "No worries. We will dye your hair blonde and just wear some punkish outfit, and you will fit right in." There was one problem. I had never heard of Australian accent in my life. So how can I fake that? The day came, and my name is now Bill Henderson. And my brother is John Henderson. I can't even remember my mom's name. So I'm dressed in this breakdance outfit. I did breakdance back then. And dyed the hair blonde. I looked good. My brother, my mom, and so we are ready to go. We are going to do this. We are actually going to go through the immigration, and we're going to act as Australians and do this. So we go to the airport, and it's not just us. When they did this, they would send group of people at one time. So there is me, my mom and my brother, and group of other Iranians who are doing the same thing we're doing. And there was another friend of mine, thick mustache. I mean, he can't look any more Persian. I didn't even want to think what his passport was, because he could not pass for Australian, that's for sure. So he's standing next to us. We were instructed not to speak with one another. And he's standing next to me, and he keeps asking me questions. I'm telling him, stop. Don't talk. We are going to get arrested right here, and we haven't even started. So we get to the ticket counter. They ask for passport. Slide it in. She looks at me, looks at the passport, looks at my mom and my brother, looks at the passport. Not convinced. Goes back, calls the supervisor. The supervisor comes. My mom, I thought she was going to have a heart attack right there. My brother, I saw his knees were giving in. And we're standing there waiting for a decision. They look at us, they look at the passport. He pulls the passport in light, turns the pages, and he says, you can go. So we go, and the Iranian dude next to me, he gets through. Now, we have a layover in Italy, not the friendliest place at that time for being smuggled through Australian passport. So our layover is in Rome. We get there, we get to the airport, and there are soldiers with German shepherds and Uzis waiting at every single gate. I'm thinking, that's it. They're here to take us. How else can I explain so many soldiers with German shepherds? They're just here to take us. That's it. We're done. And that wasn't the case. We go in and we go to the counter, and with a lot of difficulty, we found the right gate. And as we are about to enter the gate, 4 or 5 soldiers storm the area we're in, and they arrest the Iranian guy that was next to us. I don't know how they found. So when they stormed the area, my mom thought, that's it. They're going to catch us. We're going to go to jail, and we're going to get deported. And at that time, if you got deported to Iran, it was not a good thing. And so he was arrested. He was handcuffed right next to us, and he's taken away. And we proceed, and we sit in the plane. I'm encouraging my mom and my brother. We're good. They're letting us in, so we go in and we take off. We actually get to Toronto. When we get there, we tell them the whole story. I'm not Australian, I'm from Iran, we are here to seek asylum. And they accepted us with open arms, and they asked for the passport. We were instructed to cut up the passport and flush them down the toilet in the plane. But I didn't. I kept the passport, and I actually sent it back to India for another Iranian couple to use the passport and come back. And it worked. I sent it to the same person. I don't know how many times that passport's been from India to Canada through different places, but I told them, don't tear it up, keep sending it back and forth, as long as it works. So we get to Canada, and life is good. We lived in Canada for many years, and I met my wife in Toronto, my beautiful wife, and I learned that she was from Florida. So she had to twist my arm to move to Florida, and so I moved to Florida. We got married. The plan was for us to stay married for a period of 7 years, finish our school. We were going to school at the time. We wanted to graduate. We wanted to start a business, and then have kids. Which we stuck with that plan. thank God, she's a lot smarter than I am. So I listened. And it always pays off when you guys listen to your wives, trust me. 8 years ago, things were not going well. How much worse could it have gotten from India to in Canada and Rome? But you get spoiled when you're going through good times. You try to forget everything that has happened. So things were really, really tough. And my sister-in-law had become a born-again Christian. And my wife's family, they all live here. And she would not stop talking about Jesus. And I had no interest. I don't want to hear about Jesus. I just want to be left alone and let me live my life. You live your life. We're all good. But she wouldn't stop. So at every gathering, the talk would arise and surface, and they would talk, and I would just get up and go sit at the other end of the room, and you guys talk all you want, leave me out of it. But as much as you try to barricade yourself from the words, those words will keep on ringing in the back of your mind. So at that time, when things had gotten really, really rough in our lives, I was outside in front of our home. So I looked up and I said, Jesus, if you are who they say you are, if you are real, show yourself to me. Let me see you. I mean, I'm a non-believer. All I hear is talk. I want to know where you are and to know what you're about, so show yourself to me. And that's all I said. That night, I had a dream. I had a dream that I was in a church, and I was sitting in the last row of the church. 2 angels appear. They pick me up, and they take me and put me on the first row, and they tell me, this is where you need to sit. I look up, and Jesus is looking at me, nodding his head in affirmation. I woke up freaking out. Wow, what happened? And I remember that this is a dream in response to my request. I asked for him to show yourself, and he showed himself to me with that dream. Few nights later, now I don't know what to make of this, just knowing that coincidence. Of course, I was thinking about it, so I had this dream. Few nights later, I had another dream. Now, this dream was extremely powerful. The dream was that I was laying down on a mattress and a pillow in a very dimmed room, Jesus sitting on my right and Mary on my left, and Jesus would put his hand on my head. And has anybody watched Quantum Leap a few years ago? He would just disappear and go into an era. That's exactly what happened to me in that dream. As he would put his hand on my head, I would go into a situation. The first was I was amongst a group of people and a waterway running through it. As I was there, a woman falls into the water. I jump in and pull her out, and she appears lifeless. As I hold her, a beam of light comes through the sky into her mouth, into her body, and she awakens. And then immediately I would go back into that room, and he would put his hand on me, and I would go to different situation. I woke up gasping for air, filled in sweat, and my wife's freaking out. what happened? And I told her, this is a dream I had. Now, I don't know what to think of these, so I called, guess who? My sister-in-law. Told her, hey, I'm having these crazy dreams, and I really don't know what to make of these. So she said to talk to the pastor. That's the same pastor that was at Bright House a long time ago. So I did. I talked to him, and he told me a few things, and they made no sense to me whatsoever. So he invited us to the church. So we go to that church with my wife, and we got there a little late, and we sat on the last row. It was all good, all great. I enjoyed what I heard. Not drawing any lines between what's going on. So we came back the next week. We actually got there early. And my wife said, let's sit up front. We sat on the first row on the left. Identical to my dream. And I had no idea. In the middle of the sermon, it hit me as if he smacked me in the back of the head and said, wake up. I realized that was my dream, that I'm sitting exactly where I was supposed to be sitting. I'm sitting where my dream told me that I was going to be sitting. I freaked out. I cried so hard. I got up and I went right to the altar and I bowed, and when something like that happens, it becomes so difficult to describe that feeling. But I was clearly in so much emotion at that time. And when I kneeled on the altar, the pastor came and said, "What's going on?" And I told him, "This is the dream that I had." I knew that there is a connection here, but I didn't know what it means. I didn't know what I was supposed to do about it. I had no idea what's to become of this. Am I supposed to do something with it? Is it? So I just lived my life. Year ago, as Paul mentioned, I coached his daughter, the psychotic. And we connected, and he reached out to me, and he said, "Shawn, there's something I need to discuss with you." I said, "All right." He goes, "There is this retreat called Via de Cristo, and you really need to go to the Via de Cristo." By now, I'm very puzzled about this whole thing, everything that's been going on and everything that's happening. So I took his advice. I said, "I will do it, no problem." Now, he had done that before, so he wouldn't tell me anything in detail. He just said, "You just have to go." And I kept asking, "So what is it? What do you guys do there? I mean, do you golf or play tennis, or can we play soccer? Do they have soccer fields? Should I bring my cleats?" He said, "Just come. But before you do, I want to let you know that we have a grouping, that bunch of men sit together and we talk and we study the Bible. So why don't you come and spend a Tuesday night with us?" I accepted, so I went. Sitting there, this group of men are talking and reading the Bible and sharing their life stories with one another, and I'm thinking, wow. I'm a Persian. Persians are reserved. We're private. We don't discuss our problems with one another. We keep it to ourselves. And I'm hearing these guys are talking about their problems like it's nothing. So that made me drop my guards a little. I listened to them. The fact that there was such trust amongst them that they can talk about all their problems so freely encouraged me to no end. So I'm listening with crossed arms, making sure I don't give out anything that I'm not supposed to. I'm just listening, You guys keep talking, I'll take it all in, and when the time's right, I'll see what I'm going to say. And so it was great. I felt great. We read some Bible, and the night was over. And then Paul calls me and says, oh, by the way, in order to go to Via de Cristo, you got to be baptized. Now, guys, was as novice as Christian as they come. I had no clue how many branches of Christianity is there. I just knew that there is him and me, and that's all I know. Presbyterian, and I had no idea there were so many branches. So I said, okay, I got to get baptized. To me, being baptized, I thought it's something that I got to prepare for. I'm not ready to be baptized. I got to study. I got to talk to people. I got to see what's done. And then my pastor calls me, Jason from Community Coastline, and he talked to me and he said, no, being baptized, it's between you and him. If you feel you're ready to represent Jesus in public, you can go become baptized. I called our pastor, John Bellevue, and I asked him to baptize me. And he said he would, and I told my wife that I'm going to be baptized. And she said she wants to be baptized. I told my kids that your mom and I are going to be baptized. Then my two daughters, 11 and 12, Melody and Harmony, they said they want to be baptized. So we go to the ocean, and John baptizes all four of us at the same time. We become baptized, and as I told you guys, I was very novice at this. When we went to church, to Coastline Community Church, remember we didn't go to churches. So they passed these plates with two little cups, one filled with grape juice and one filled with tasteless bread. I get them, and I don't know what these are, and they didn't pass the plate around to get money, so I'm thinking, this is such a poor church. They can't even afford proper hosting of their guests. I mean, is this how Persians, you come to my house and I give you my life. I give you everything in the kitchen and fridge, and I put it on the table, and all they're giving me is this much of juice. So I get the juice, I pop it up, and I look at this tiny little bread, and I eat it. I'm like, all right, there's got to be another round. They got to get me a little more something. I mean, and then I'm looking, and there is this old woman right next to me. She's looking at me like, what's the matter with you? And I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So I'm done with that, and she's holding on to hers, and I'm thinking she really doesn't want to finish her juice. She's holding on to it. And then the pastor comes and he tells us what we're supposed to do with it. And I'm like, can I get another one? I finished mine too early. And so we get baptized, and it's time for my retreat. It's time for Via de Cristo. I was warned, no cell phones, no electronics, no phones or connection with the family. And I'm freaking out. I mean, I'm addicted to chess, so my phone is with me. I'm playing chess 24/7. Forget phone calls from family. I'm not going to have my chess. So I said, all right, it's part of the game, so I'm ready for it. We go to Via de Cristo, 3-day weekend. And it was, every time I want to describe what happened that weekend, I come short of words. English is my second language, so that's not a surprise. But that weekend changed my life. I felt Jesus in my bones. I felt the Holy Spirit surround me, wrap me, to give me the biggest joy, calm, peace, and boldness. I was a changed man. I was so transformed that after that weekend, no problem that I've been experiencing seemed like problem anymore. I created such trust in Christ that all my problems seemed very childish. It changed so that I would be willing to talk to anyone about Christ, about what he has done for me. And I just wanted for everyone to experience that joy. I was in so much peace. All I had to do was think of him, and I would get filled with just calm and inner joy that I cannot explain. It's not something I would get from people around me. It was an inner peace that would just glow. And I just wanted everyone to experience that. And the boldness that was caused instantly was unexplainable. How bold? My family and Barubi's family are eating at Long Doggers. And my daughter comes to me and says, "Dad, there is this guy that rode his bicycle from Miami to Melbourne, and he is riding it all the way to New York." I'm like, oh my God, I gotta meet this guy. So I go out, and his name is Franklin, and I'm like, so tell me your story. He tells me his story, and I'm like, that's incredible what you're doing. And I'm asking him, can I pray for you? This is the first time I have ever prayed in my life, and I felt like I had to pray for him. And he said, sure. And my daughter is standing there looking in fear. She is freaking out. Oh my God, what is my dad doing? So I put my hand on him. I prayed with him, and I walked back in. As I walked back in, I felt like I had to call him back. So I called Franklin. I said, Franklin, come here for a second. He comes in. I go and I stand on the table of Long Doggers. I'm standing on the table of Long Doggers, and I'm yelling, "Attention, everyone! Can I have everyone's attention?" And everybody, the whole restaurant's looking at me. And I said, "This is Franklin. He's going from Miami to New York for his cause. Can I get you guys to pray for him?" The whole restaurant erupted in cheers, and they clapped for him, and he's embarrassed, and I didn't care, because a bunch of men got up, they came to him, they actually laid their hands on him, and they prayed for him. They gave him tips, they told him what to do, what not to do, and I felt great. Paul is sitting there looking at my wife. My wife is looking at him. Like, what have you done to this man? What have you done to him? He was never like this before. I caused a lot of embarrassment doing similar things for my family, so now they're used to it. Now, they know that I'm going to get up on table somewhere and say something. A lot has happened. Every morning I ask God to put someone in front of me that needs to hear about Jesus. And I tell you guys, he has taken my words literally. I own a business, a small business. And ever since people sit in front of me, I own an insurance agency, so we're talking insurance, and somehow it gets routed towards their personal problems. They open up. And that's the moment that I feel that I have to speak the word and As I'm listening, I'm praying for God to give them the right word to speak so they can hear. I can tell you over 30 people are now, they believe in Jesus. They have brought Jesus back into their lives, and God is using me to put him in their lives again. If they have lost Jesus, they are found again. The name of my agency is One Source, and a friend of mine told me, the name of your business is One Source. I said, yeah, I picked it. He said, One Source. I said, I know. He said, One Source. And the crazy thing is, when he said that, my jaw just dropped. I was shaken. I picked One Source 15 years ago when I was a non-believer. He knew back then that today's going to come, and I'm going to know why I named my business One Source. I want to thank you guys for coming. I know I talked a lot, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody hears how powerful Jesus is. I want you to know that everything we go through in life has a purpose. I now know why I went through everything that I went through. I have no bitter feelings whatsoever. I'm not angry at God. Why did he take me to India at the age of 13? No money, no parents. It puts everything in perspective. I had to go through what I went through to get to where I am today, standing here, talking to you. Who knew that me from back then is going to be in a situation where I am right now, that I'm talking Jesus to you people. He's alive. He's real. You ask for him, and he is there. Sometimes we take that for granted. Sometimes we forget. But he is there. He's in your life. He wants to be in our lives. All you have to do is ask, like I did. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Wow. When I was at dinner, and Shawn is, getting on top of the picnic table at Long Doggers, we're all standing there going, what? Anyway, I looked over at his wife when this was all over, and I said, so, Sandra, how do you like your new husband? She goes, well, he won't even engage me in an argument anymore. It's so annoying. So, anyway. Okay, last week, real quick.